Welcome, everybody, to the Chris Pears Podcast, episode 107. Last time, no more. I want to thank everyone for jumping on and joining me here today, especially my guest slash friend slash brother slash godfather of the Turnbuckle Studios, godfather of the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program, Karl Karufel. So just to please him, let's get that housekeeping underway and let's make sure that we thank the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program, Turnbuckle Studios, and the proud sponsor of the Chris Parrish Podcast, Beercade YEG, located at 105 82nd Ave, your home in Edmonton, Alberta, to watch all AEW pay-per-view and WWE PLEs. Karl Karufel, welcome. Hello. How are you doing today?
I am doing very, very well, coming off the heels of an emotional night, I will say. Just very happy and pleased to be welcomed here, and looking forward to just a great show.
Now, it's not your first time on the show, but it is
No.
your first time on the one-on-one with
Yes.
us. Typically, you've been a part when we've done the drafts, which will be a reoccurring thing once WWE starts doing them again. But this time we are bonded with an interest, a similar interest, and that was obviously John Cena saying goodbye, saying farewell to the WWE Universe from an in-ring performance last night.
Yeah.
Live from Washington, D.C. Inside the ring, John Cena was victimized, was brutalized, was submitted by the ring general Gunther, as we have Chris Best coming in saying good afternoon. Hello, how are you doing? Let's get right into it.
Okay.
We saw 4 matches last night. The elephant in the room, Gunther and John Cena. Your thoughts? Hello, Andre C. Thanks for coming in. It is Parrish and Karl. But yeah, thoughts on the main event last night.
First off, thank you for reading out those comments. I have us full screened up on the TV, so I'm not seeing the comments, but emotional to say the least, for sure. As somebody who grew with the business from the age of 3, I'm 44 now. So I mean, you're looking 41 years of watching the product, to see John Cena come in, to see John Cena slap Kurt Angle, ruthless aggression, and come in, to see him progress in the very beginning and even well into his career. I was never a big John Cena fan. My children, on the other hand, loved John Cena. And I guess that fits kind of into that stereotype of John Cena allure, right? To see everything the way that it was presented over this last year and the culmination of this retirement tour was, to me, near perfection how they did this. Even the finish, I will say, was near perfection.
And that has been such a huge issue online with the internet wrestling community, or the international whining community, as I like to refer to it at times. John Cena tapping out. What are they doing? They just wrecked John Cena. He should have passed out instead. He should have won. What are they doing? I don't like Gunther. They're ramming him down our throats. Which I thought was very ironic. How many times did you ever say that about John Cena during his run with WWE? Personally, I found the match to be very anticlimactic, which I thought was very ironic given how many wins John Cena had, feeling the same way. This time it was his final match and one of his most emotional, uh, as you said, most emotional performances. But the finish, I don't think was an issue, as many people think. Especially if you noticed, he had that smirk on his face before he had that one final tap, and I looked at it very much like, if you're a man living your life and you knew your time was coming, you're struck with a choice. You can live and be ungrateful, or you can live and be grateful, and the ones who tend to live life knowing that it's time, and they look at life and what they've done in a grateful point of view, they then smile and they go out as a man. I feel John Cena did exactly that. He acknowledged the journey, the ride, everything he was able to do, and with pure grateful, he tapped because he knew in that moment everything he wanted to do, whether that's leaving the business better than what he found it. He was very fortunate to have what he had with wrestling in his life. He could not be upset with anything, even though everyone else might have been. What were your thoughts on just how everything came out and the nuances that came out with that match, and then the ode to John Cena with that spark before he gave it that final tap?
I think it was pure Cena. He th People don't understand. I think that people don't understand that, while he may say that he didn't have very much to do with the creative process during this final year, I think he had a lot more to do with it than he's even letting on. Again, he comes from a time when kayfabe was a very prominent thing. Maybe not necessarily when he made his way into the business, but for sure when he thought about maybe getting into this type of a world. And if you saw the interview that was done with Rinaldi afterwards, great interview. I absolutely loved it. And he kind of goes into that saying that, 20 minutes down the road was Killer Kowalski and his school. And he had no idea because of that kayfabe that's there. And when you grow up in that type of an era, that's something that sticks with you. Even myself, still to this day, I still try to keep that kayfabe going. And I think that's exactly what he did here.
Yeah, and you're talking about old school as Chris Best is coming in saying the finish gave me Bob Backlund versus Bret Hart Survivor Series 94 vibes. And I think that's exactly what we're all talking about. It made you feel something, whether it was nostalgic, whether it was emotion, whether or not you as a fan understood that this was your chance to say goodbye, whether this was closure, whether this was just your final time. Maybe for some people, it was just their first time, as we have Bobby Petito coming in saying, hello, guys. Hello, Bobby Sats. How are we doing today? Talking a little bit Saturday night's main event and the John Cena versus Gunther match. I really do believe that at the end, whether or not John Cena had more input or less input in this, I don't think that really changes or should change anything of how we view it, because wrestling in a nutshell is something that as a viewer we're supposed to feel and have interactions with and have
Yeah.
feelings about, enjoy the memory about what we saw. And I think what WWE was able to give us was a memory that we're never going to forget,
Mhm.
because there's a lot of times we don't get moments where wrestlers end their career the way John Cena did. This was the first time where he had a year-long tour. He had
Yeah.
a tournament to encapsulate who his last opponent was. So for the better part of a month and a half, the build of Gunther versus John Cena was there.
Yes.
As Bobby Stats is coming in and saying, the first time I was watching John Cena was when he was the United States champion during his Open Challenge in 2015. And you look now what that's been able to do. We've seen Sami Zayn, now Ilya Dragunov, take that United States championship and run with the Open Challenge based off the moral code that John Cena had with it. We could take with all the moments, whether it was Sami Zayn debuting, running it back to giving that same opportunity to John Cena in this final year, whether it was an introduction to Kevin Owens.
Right.
John Cena was giving opportunities to NXT then, just like he has been openly about the idea that Saturday Night's Main Event, he wanted NXT involvement. And we got that involvement when we saw the NXT champion Obafemi take on the undisputed champion Cody Rhodes. We saw Sol Ruka take on Bayley. And then we also saw Javon Evans and TNA X Division champion Leon Slater team up to take on your World Tag Team champions in AJ Styles and Dragon Lee. So let's dive into that.
Sure.
What were your thoughts about the remaining matches that we did see, as well as a segment that included newly signed Joe Hendry, The Miz, and Ron the Truth Killings, aka R-Truth, aka Ron Cena?
Yeah. So just like everything that happens live, things aren't always going to go perfect. There is no stop. There is no second take. There is no cut. There is no let's run that back. Unless you're an oos, then you can run that back, right? But yeet for sure. The show I thought was very, very good, and they didn't necessarily just focus on just John Cena, right? And I love the fact that as you alluded to, Cena wanted that there was this inclusion of the up and coming, the younger stars in the company as well. And for me, Sol Ruka, what, 3 years in the business, from starting training, not having any experience, to now taking on Bayley. Absolutely fantastic for me. Were there some hiccups? Sure, there was. Before we got on, we were talking a little bit about this, and they just ran with it. Right. And for me, that's something that really shows a growth and a professionalism within the ring, where something can maybe mess up, but you know how to continue on with it and make it look as though that's what was supposed to happen. The entire show itself for me was good. I enjoyed it. I was able to watch a little bit while I was working last night, but then I was able to come back and watch it again this morning, thanks to WWE putting it onto YouTube. And I enjoyed it once again. And hopefully they keep it there so that we can continue to enjoy it year after year after year.
Yeah. And you are completely correct with that. It's anything like wrestling, any matches, even hockey, even football, nothing always goes according to plan. Sometimes things happen. That's what being a live, entertaining product does. Opens the room for error. But as you said, sometimes you got to just roll with the punches. But we talked a lot about the insider term. It's kind of there as we're talking about kayfabe. We're talking about things not going right. But let's not forget, if you want to become more part of the inside world, then all you have to do is go to turnbucklestudio.org/join, and you could be a part of our insider world.
A Turnbuckle affiliation, Rogram is looking for more people. If you have passion level for pro wrestling, sports, videos games, or something else, then Turnbuckle Studios is the place to be. If you have ever wanted to pursue content creation and want to join our team, then we would love to have you. Check out turnbucklestudios.org or contact us by email today because your future is now, and we want you to tap in.
If you want to go to turnbucklestudios.org, that is the official web page for Turnbuckle Studios that is capsulated by the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program. And if you want to be a part of that, all you have to do is /join. That's right. We make it easy for you. So all you have to do is then fill out a little bit of a quick sheet. You can let us know who you are, what you're capable of doing, and then we can then have a conversation with you and talk about, hey, this is what we can offer. This is what you can offer. Let's make some magic. Just like the stars from NXT mixed with the roster of Raw and SmackDown made some magic. I want to know from you, when we saw Raw and SmackDown mix with NXT, and yes, trickle in a little bit of TNA, because who doesn't like a little bit of TNA? Am I right? Is this something that you would like to see maybe of an annual year, whether it's a one-off show where it's just for one night, you can get to see NXT talent go 1-on-1, go 2-on-2, 3-on-3, Teddy Long 1-on-1 with The Undertaker, anything like that, but with members of the main roster?
No, because I don't want it to be just one night. I want us to have that a little bit more. Um, why not is what I say to that. There's no reason why we can't, maybe take somebody from NXT that might be on the verge of going to Raw or SmackDown and already start to include them into a program of sorts where they are going to be on the main brand, quote unquote, main brand that they're destined for, or that person from the main brand going to NXT and creating this buzz, even including maybe somebody from TNA that the WWE is going, hey, we want you on our roster, on our payroll. We want you as part of our organization. Here's how we're going to do it. And then we see those inclusions in there. Now, maybe a one night only PLE/ pay-per-view where you've got champions from each respective brand that are maybe coming together and maybe doing something pretty cool and really great would be fantastic. But I want to see more inclusion of that throughout the year.
Yeah, and typically during the course of a year, we do see the additions of NXT, whether it's through the Royal Rumble, whether it's through a call up. Sometimes it's just a matter of circumstance, as we have seen Javon Evans have a match with Sami Zayn with the Open Challenge.
Mhm.
That's a nice form of an example of an NXT challenger coming to the main roster for a one-off. Bobby Benito's coming in saying you can have AAA wrestlers added too. Same with Evolve.
Right.
There's a lot I think that you can do with it. And then Bobby also coming in saying, I just like the video on YouTube, which, by the way, everyone, he's not the only one that can do that. He's just the first. So don't be the last, be the next. And you can also like this video on YouTube, hit that notification bell button, and you can be alerted every time that Chris Parrish goes live on YouTube, as well as Turnbuckle Studios on YouTube, as we're also showcasing this show on that channel as well. My idea was kind of more of an opportunity to see where we stand with the development of some of these performers in NXT, because obviously you can watch NXT right now and you can say, here are a couple talents that I say we need to think about what we can do with them on a Raw and SmackDown now. There's another group of people that you can say, okay, in about 6 to 12 months, it'll be their time. And then, I'm sure that's something that you're looking at.
Oh, yeah.
And if I'm already Parrish, yeah, that's my name. Say his name, and I appear. Joe Hendry also is one of those people who I think very much can pop in. Another person I thought, hey, I would have loved to see him on the show. Just so happens to be a double champion, one half of the mixed tag team champions, and the current North American champion, All Ego Ethan Page. I thought he's someone, if I was in charge of adding a match, I wanted to see him going one-on-one with CM Punk. I thought that would have been a great match. But we could fantasy book as much as we want. That's what we do. That's what we love. But the whole idea, I think, of this show concept will just be, okay, it's a little bit of a one-night tease to say, hey, does this work? Or what do we need to do to have it work someday? And I think that's something this one night only would be. And that's exactly what I would call it. One night only. Bring that back, change the concept. And I think you're off and running.
Okay.
Catherine Ocean Mariah Parnham is coming in saying, I'm glad Soul won last night. She's been working hard. And she is someone that did get a little bit of a setback with her knee injury, had to forfeit her North American not North American championship, but had her partner Zarya defended against Blake Monroe and lost.
Yeah.
Then forfeited her speed championship that Fallon Henley ended up winning. Then only got an opportunity to go up on SmackDown a couple times with her partner. Then got that big opportunity against Bayley last night. You talked earlier about how she very much impressed you.
Oh, yeah.
What are some things you believe Sol Ruca still needs to do to be a complete sure thing on the main roster?
Awesome. Great question. First, let me preface this by saying that the place of work that I am at, I get to interact with a lot of public, and I don't have those sentiments just to myself. I had lots of members of the community come into my workplace and talk with me because they know that I'm a fan of professional wrestling, because they know who I am. And they were very impressed as well with Sol Ruca. For myself, at least, because they didn't talk anything, I don't want to say negatively, because I don't think that that's the right word, but they're not as close to the know as per se you and I are, who have been there, done that, continuing to do it. Yeah, well, I mean, part-time is still continuing to do it. I think for Sol Ruca, it's just a matter of how do I put this? A matter of keeping things clean. Um, Not that she is terrible at what she does, but maybe clean things up just a little bit, and maybe even add, it's funny that I say this because we're talking about John Cena, but maybe add a little bit more to the repertoire. I saw so many times during that matchup where she did, front flip, but on her hand and then back standing up again. Change that up just a little bit so that you're not using it 5, 6, 10 times within a matchup, but you can include something else. And that's all just part of learning, figuring out the move sets, being able to figure out how your body is going to work, and be able to recover in that type of a situation. Just tighten things up, clean a little bit. And I think that she really has a rocket strapped to her back that can take her right to a women's championship on either brand.
And just to complete that, Bobby Sats is coming in and saying Sol Ruca is a future world intercontinental champion on Raw or a great contender for it. And I couldn't agree more. I watch what she's doing, and as you said earlier, you pointed out 3 years since she has signed with WWE, where she started her wrestling career. Let's also put that in perspective when we're talking about Sol Ruca and just the amazing progress that the NXT and the performance centers and that system does have. We all know the Soul Snatcher is one of the most exciting finishes in the game right now. That is undeniable. But as you said, just getting that more completeness out of her, whether it's in ring, even from a personality standpoint, just the entrance alone. I've noticed that she has a little bit of a different song than she started off with, which I like. It's more upbeat. It's more ready to go. I'm wearing this hoodie because it was from the Royal Rumble in San Antonio. And I remember back then we saw Roxanne Perez in that Rumble. And the conversation was, you got to bring her up right now. She's ready. And they kept her down in NXT for a couple years, turned her heel, and all of a sudden, this completely new performer came out of it. And there's a little bit more patience on the prodigy then. So all I have to say is with Sol Ruca, I think ride the wave with her right now. And then when you see a little bit of a bump, make that character switch and let her become comfortable. Let her just understand those nuances. You talked about adding moves to the repertoire, change things up. I look at a performer, Neville, Pac, 100% as a perfect example of someone who was known to be high flying, doing a lot of flips, being very quick. Now, in order to be a believable heel, he became a bastard. That by name.
Yep.
Slow things down, changed his look, changed his appearance, but is completely now working a different way. Went away with some of his flashy moves. And I think Sol Ruca could benefit if she was to do some of the similar motions, not necessarily change everything, but add things, make them feel special. Same thing with Ricochet. Didn't always do that 630. So I like where you're going with the additions of stuff. As Catherine is coming in saying, "Pop rocks. Move is beautiful." That
I don't disagree.
Now, before we get to anything else, I do want to talk about that opening match with Obafemi and Cody Rhodes.
Okay.
I thought that match started off great. We were seeing the power. We were seeing the speed. We were seeing what Obafemi was. We saw the advertisement in live form. I thought with that match, you definitely wanted to see where this was going to. I thought the Drew McIntyre involvement was exactly predictable. I don't know if I would have executed that same way, but let me know what you thought, and chat if you want to mix in. Let me know what you think as well.
First off, we absolutely love when there are people here chatting with us. The engagement that you guys have with us keeps the drive for us to do this going. Thank you for doing that. We love it. We love you. And continue, please, to leave your thoughts in the chat as well. Before we got on, we had talked a little bit about this, and pulling back the curtain a little bit. Yeah, we talked before. Of course we do. I mean, we need to know what we're talking about, right? I don't personally, I understand that there's this rivalry, there's this, feud that's going on. I would rather have seen just a clean finish, a double count out, or something to that line, instead of having to include another person, especially in your opening matchup. You're setting a tone for the entire show when you are the proverbial quote unquote curtain jerker. Um, it fell flat for me come the finish, come the end of that first matchup. You said that it was going amazing, that it came out strong, that it came out hitting hard and heavy, and you're damn right it did. But then it just fell a little short. They could have gone about things a different way, in my perspective. But as we know, within this business, there are reasons for everything that happens. And we just have to sit back, collect ourselves, and wait and see where this is going to go.
100%. Bobby coming in saying, since Drew McIntyre got involved, now I'm interested in a potential match between Obafemi and Drew McIntyre. Well, let's think about what we could see down the road. And since Drew McIntyre still right now is suspended on SmackDown, even though Cody Rhodes on Friday asked for that to be lifted, what if Obafemi gets greeted on Tuesday by a Scottish psychopath and Drew McIntyre?
Okay.
Could very well say Drew McIntyre is not suspended on NXT. Catherine Ocean Mariah Parnham coming in saying, match was amazing. Drew interrupting was predictable. But how else could they not undermine Cody and still give Oba that bump up? Well, I'm glad you asked that question, because this is exactly how I would have done it. And yes, sometimes you have to undermine a baby face if it's for a cause. That's okay. I would have flat out had this amazing match between Oba and Cody, just like what we were getting. But then just when the situation arose, Drew McIntyre comes in and he puts the knife into the back of Cody Rhodes. He screws Cody Rhodes, allows Obafemi to pick up the win, hit that 1, 2, 3. Cody Rhodes and Obafemi then realize it was Drew McIntyre. Cody's mad. As of this Friday, you can then have said suspension lifted, and then you can start planning to Cody versus Drew. That could be either on January 5 on the anniversary Netflix edition of Raw, or wait to the end of the month for the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
But I think that's exactly what you could do, because that is now a feud that you are upping, you're prolonging, you're making invested interest again. And sometimes you have to have Cody Rhodes take a slight bump in the road to get there. With Obafemi, I thought it was more important for him to look strong than anything else, because that was the whole point of the NXT involvement in the first place, to showcase just how good NXT is. And by that, I love the fact that he did not play second fiddle to Drew in their interaction. I just didn't like the fact that it came at the expense of Drew, who was already the odd man out from that match to begin with. Chris Best coming in saying, I really like this match. It was done to give Obafemi a couple of ready-made feuds for him when he arrives to the main roster. And my question is, what happens if he is not immediately coming into the main roster? When he won back the NXT championship from Ricky Saints on Deadline, it made me wonder if he is not immediate as people thought. And maybe, just maybe, he could be 4 to 6, maybe even longer in terms of months, further away from coming up.
Yeah.
So the question is, where do we go? Because as I talked last week with RBV about Gunther, now let's talk about the trio: Cody, Drew, Oba. Mentioned Cody versus Drew. So, Karl, what do you do with Obafemi?
I think with Obafemi, you don't necessarily need to do anything main roster with him right now. When you've got a product, you are constantly trying to showcase every form of that content that you have. NXT is content for the WWE. This matchup, the Saturday night's main event, was a perfect way to allow people who may not have seen Obafemi in NXT come over, take on Cody Rhodes, get this win, and then have people go to NXT and be like, wow, if that's what I'm seeing from this person here, who else do they have over there? Now you've solidified Obafemi as the dominant force and, dare I say, face right now of NXT. So to move him to a main, I think would be detrimental to the NXT brand. You've now built who this is. You've showcased who this is. You've showcased what this person can do. And you have solidified that this is the face of NXT. Come and see what else we have.
And I couldn't think of a better segue to talk about what else we have than showcasing you. What else Turnbuckle Studios and the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program have with its weekly calendar? We saw the one omission, and that is the PLE Patrol that you just saw last night with Saturday night's main event. But if you're wondering what else we have, check this out.
Turnbuckle Studios and the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program bring you the week of streams. Monday nights you get the Locker Room Breakdown at 7 p.m. Eastern, followed by the Raw Patrol at 8 p.m. Eastern. Tuesday brings you the flagship show, Turnbuckle Talk, at 8:05 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday we play games with the PlayStation Showcase at 8 p.m. Eastern. Thursday we go TNA when we brace for Impact at 7:55 p.m. Eastern. Friday we secure all details as we answer the call for the SmackDown security detail at 8 p.m. Eastern. The weekend brings you Saturday Night Gaming at 8 p.m. Eastern. On Sundays be sure to catch the Chris Parrish podcast at 12:15 p.m. Eastern, followed by the Boar's Nest at 8 p.m. Eastern. Be part of the shows and join the chat every day.
That's right, everybody. Another perk to turnbucklestudios.org is you can also check all the latest episodic shows that you just saw on that calendar. So if you want to get just a little bit of a taste of what you can see today, tomorrow, or even later in the week, go to turnbucklestudios.org, because we do what you just saw last night at Saturday night's main event do from a mobile way. And that is give you a glimpse of what's coming next. And WWE did that last night when they showcased stars from NXT. But then we also saw some TNA as the X Division champion, Leon Slater, who, by the way, made history last night as he became the first person to have a main event match on a WWE program and hold the TNA X Division Championship. We've seen the Knockouts Championship in the past where Mickie James and Jordan Grace were Knockouts champion as they entered the Royal Rumble. We've seen Joe Hendry do the same thing in this year's Royal Rumble, as well as WrestleMania, as he faced Randy Orton. But never have we seen a main event appearance of the X Division Championship. And Leon Slater did just that as he tagged with Javon Evans as they faced the World Tag Team Champions of AJ Styles and Dragon Lee. Now, I thought in ring, this was one of the better matches. I love the fact that we saw creativity with Dragon Lee and AJ Styles. We are just finding more interesting ways to how we can get into that Styles clash. But the pace that started this match off, That is why I would have picked this match to open the show, because that's exactly the pace I wanted to start off with. Karl, give me your thoughts on this tag match. And more importantly, what do you think they did right here?
The matchup itself, I thought, was beautiful. I loved watching it. I love tag team wrestling. I really do. The dynamic of everything included within tag team wrestling, there's so much that you can do with it, as was showcased last night. I think for myself, the start of that matchup was the best for me. You had both of them, the younger stars taking out, right? And then AJ Styles, how long was he down for? How long was he out for? They got Dragon Lee. They're beating the crap out of Dragon Lee. Continuous beat down on him. The quick tags, the back and forth, the going back, going forward, coming all the way back again. The reach out. They're out there. Where's AJ Styles? Man, they took him out. And then you get the culmination of the AJ Styles is getting back up. You hear the crowd. They're like, AJ, AJ, AJ. The tag happens, and then it continues from there. Just not necessarily how fast-paced everything was, but just the fact that they were able to kind of showcase that, yes, this younger talent is good. They know what they're doing. They're hungry. They are wanting to have these opportunities, and they are making the most out of those opportunities, is probably my biggest takeaway from this matchup. Wins, loss, I don't care at this point when it comes to that matchup. What I care about is the hunger and the drive that we saw from Javon Evans and Leon Slater in this matchup. Glorious to me.
I'm sorry, but as you were saying that, you have to create a segment that is the Karl Cares About segment. I'm just saying, we're putting this out in the universe right now. That is what I do, people. I think of gold on the spot. But you're right. There's so much about this match just from a story standpoint, how the investment came to why you care. And the pace was fantastic. That leads into that story. Then it leads into the creativity of how you get from A to B. And then all of a sudden, you got the finish. You got what you wanted. You saw the completion of this fantastic match. The World Tag Team Champions defeat Leon Slater and Javon Evans, as AJ Styles did pin the TNA X Division champion, Leon Slater, who, by the way, the day that Leon Slater won the X Division title, you know who popped in to be the first one to say congratulations? Returning AJ Styles. So just a full moment, or full circle moment right here with those two. And it was just fantastic. But what I loved about everything that you just said, it featured the tag team wrestling division. It featured the tag team champions. And yes, we're getting MFTs and the Wyatts on SmackDown. So this was the logical choice. Plus, it was 4 hungry, entertaining, athletic competitors going after a similar goal, and that is to be the best that they can have, to steal the show. Every positive thing that you can get out of this match, you got. Did you get a little slip up from AJ Styles? Sure. But guess what? He fell down because that's what he's been saying all these years now. He is slowing down. That's what he's on retiring in 2026, which that I hope takes a lot longer than this year did with John Cena. But Leon Slater, what poise, what veteran presence as he went and picked up that pinfall, tried to win.
Yeah.
Exactly what you want to see out of a young 21-year-old in Leon Slater, just showcasing how good these future talent really are.
I do want to say to that as well. I am somebody who has been very vocal about my dislike of just taking people and throwing them together and going, oh yeah, go out there and tag. Go out there and just do this matchup. WWE in this instance proved me wrong. Taking these two, one guy from NXT, one guy from TNA, throwing them together. And now, okay, so maybe they have, had a little bit of stuff in the past, maybe done some stuff on the indies, and I get that, right? But the fan who's watching, who doesn't watch the independent scene, doesn't know that. So they're just seeing, oh, these two guys thrown together. They made it work and created magic with that. And I do have to give props for that as somebody who's very vocal about my dislike of that.
Yeah, and if I can give maybe a quick little detailed version of how, this came to be. This was a dream match for a lot of people when the NXT TNA partnership and affiliation kind of started. When TNA and they were in Edmonton, that's when they announced that we were going to get at Slammiversary Javon Evans, Leon Slater, X Division Championship. That match got derailed by Dark State, who got involved. And we didn't get to see a winner there. Then all of a sudden, Leon Slater, Javon Evans decided to team up to go against a Dark State. And now they've been kind of friends who know they have that score to settle. It's kind of like a young version of Apollo Creed and Rocky Balboa teaming up to face, the villains, which are Dark State. And then when the dust settles, they're going to go back and have that match with the X Division Championship. Just on Deadline, it was Javon Evans who pinned Leon Slater to get a point in that match. So we know there is still some history between the two as competitors, but we know that they're going to fight fights together because they're also friends. They're also companions, which means a lot of people who act the same tend to like to dress the same, right?
Usually.
They like the same things. They like the same hobbies.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to be just like us and wear some of our merch, have our logos represented, and we can have similar hobbies, check out karlkarufel.redbubble.com right now.
The Turnbuckle Studios store is open for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the merch and represent the best from the shows you watch on a weekly basis. Multiple styles to choose from with over 10 products available. Don't get left out and pick up all your favorites today. Find us at karlkarufel.redbubble.com.
We're nearing the end, but before we get there, we need to acknowledge what we saw last night, and that is John Cena's final in-ring appearance. Last night, we saw the last time is now. Tomorrow, we are living a world where Raw will be on. The Raw Patrol will be in full spirits tomorrow, but we will never have John Cena from an in-ring competitor again. So today might be your hangover from yesterday, but let's do exactly what was meant to be done yesterday. Let's start with our closure. Karl, how do you remember John Cena?
It's emotional for me because it, through John Cena, allowed a stronger connection with my children. Being the dad, not the one that liked John Cena, stood against everything that John Cena was for because, well, that's how we were conditioned. But my children, I have pictures of them. One is wearing a John Cena ball cap. The one wanted some John Cena merchandise. One of them wanted the spinning chain gang necklace that I keep close to me. It's usually sitting just right over there. That for me is how I will remember Cena, is that his contributions while they were great and many inside the ring, and his contributions for humanity, I'm going to say, because of his beautiful work that he's done with Make-A-Wish and other programs, came through even into my life and allowed me closeness. And it's just, it's so odd to believe that somebody that I've never met, I've seen him perform a couple of times. My kids wanted a John Cena autograph, so they were selling, the little cards with Cena's autograph at the merch booth that, we picked up for each one of them. But somebody that I've never met and that I have no clue as to who this, person is. I know the character of John Cena. I don't know the person of John Cena, but he touched my heart in a way that is undescribable.
I don't know if I could say anything better than that. So what I will do is let everybody know that the last time no more might just be a tagline for the show here today. Doesn't mean we have to forget John Cena and what he has done for us. Now, in the ring, we might not be able to see him. But for the last 23 years, we were able to experience, witness, and be inspired by everything that he was able to do, whether it was through pro wrestling, movies, commercials, Make-A-Wish visits, interactions, whatever the case may be. John Cena's time was always, when it came for other people in the ring, his last time, no more. Next week, we will be coming to you with episode 108, Perish the Thought, as we enter a world where eras have been challenged, times have changed, but ultimately, our world has now been rearranged. I want to thank everyone for coming in and joining, supporting the Chris Parrish podcast this week for episode 107, Last Time No More. If you want to help and support the show, you see my link tree down there at Chris Parrish, where you can like, follow, subscribe to all the platforms that are being viewed, whether it's my Facebook, YouTube, Instagram Live, X account, or even if you want to follow the Chris Parrish podcast live on Spotify. You can also check it out on the Turnbuckle Studios YouTube, where you can see the man that is with us, Karl, and you can go and help support him on his link tree at Karl. Everyone, I want to say thank you, Karl. Thank you so much for joining me here today. And I want to let everybody know that this has been episode 107, Last Time No More. But more importantly, I want you to stay healthy, stay happy. And just remember, at the end of the day, you matter. Take care, and I will see you next week.
Rip through the clouds, faster, catch us from falling close to